Hello everyone, this is Dr.P.Syamala from the Department of MBA International Business Management Studies, Acharya Nagarjuna University. And coming to today's topic is about communication. So, this communication concept is studied under the heading of directing, which is one of the functions of management. Okay, so under directing, communication is one of the element. As we studied in previous classes, the elements of directing as the supervision, leadership, okay, motivation, and the last one is communication. Okay, so what does communication means under directing? So, how important communication is under the process of directing? Okay. So, first of all, communication means if we go for the introduction of communication, it is the word communication basically it has been derived from the Latin word communis, which means common. Okay, so this is a Latin word which has derived, okay, which has been derived as communis, which means that common. So thus communication means sharing of ideas and views in common. So that is the sense of communication. So communication means sharing of the views, opinions, ideas, facts, information, each and everything, okay, in common means both of them should the sender or the receiver should receive the message in a same sense, okay, common in the sense that is, okay. So now uh, it means an exchange of ideas, facts, opinions, information, and understanding between two or more persons. So, this is a communication, and it is communication may be in the form of written, or else in the way, spoken words, or else the gestures or signs of a body movement. Okay, anything can be considered as a communication. For example, waving hand, okay, it is also a communication. Or else nodding head, it is also a communication. Movement of a lips, or else the winking of an eye. So all this conveys the more meaning, okay, in communication. In fact, if we want to say means more than in a written or spoken words, we can convey more efficiently, okay, through these gestures only, like waving of hand or winking of eye, anything, okay. So we can say that communication may be not only expressed through words, symbols, letters, okay, through actions also, through gestures also, okay, through body movements also we can express the views and opinions. So the information is passed from sender to receiver. Here in communication it involves two persons. Definitely two persons should be there. One is the sender of the communication and the other one is the receiver of the communication. So therefore communication means passing of the information, okay, from sender to the receiver, okay. So now coming to but finally, communication includes not only sending and receiving of information, but also the proper understanding of information should be sent, okay, or received, and taking necessary action on it. So next necessary action on it means the feedback should be taken, okay, how promptly they have understood, how promptly they have sent the message and received the message. So a feedback should be taken. So that is known as taking necessary action, okay. And if we go to the definitions, different people have given different definitions on communications. So if we go for Keith Davis, he had given definition regarding communication as it is a process of passing information and understanding from one person to another person. So this is known as communication. So communication means definitely it is a process. So process of what means process of passing the information or else opinion, views, facts, ideas, anything, okay, that is known as process of passing the information. And finally that communication is fulfilled when when only the receiver understand the purpose of the communication or the meaning of the communication. So Keith Davis defined that communication is a process of passing information and understanding from one person to another person. So common, the meaning should be common. Sender sends a message to the receiver, okay, and both should understand, sender and receiver both should understand the meaning in the same way. Then only effective communication is done. Okay. So not only Keith Davis, Kuhns also has given a definition like communication is an intercourse by words, letters, symbols, or messages, and is a way that one organization member shares meaning and understanding with another. Okay, so definitely communication means it is an intercourse, exchange of words, letters, symbols, messages. Okay, everything, each and everything. So that is known as a communication. Okay, not only Kuhns, Newman and Summer, he has also defined communication as it is an exchange of facts, opinions, ideas, emotions by two or more persons. Likewise, many of them have given many definitions regarding the communication. Now if we go into deep about the features or else the nature of communication means, first one is social process. So, what does communication means? What is communication means? Means first one is social process. So, social process means communication is a social process because it involves two or more persons and they can exchange the ideas, information, and knowledge. So, basically, social means, what is the meaning of social means? Society. Society in the sense the people or individuals involved in that group. Okay, so these group of people, without this group of people communication cannot be seen or else the passage of information cannot be seen. So therefore it involves the people, so that is known as the social process. Okay, so this is the first feature regarding the communication. Means communication is a social process because it involves two or more persons and they can exchange their ideas, views, facts, information, knowledge, etc. Okay, coming to second one, so two-way process. Communication is not only a social process but also a two-way process. So two-way process means, I already said that in communication definitely there should be two persons or more than two persons. So one is the sender and the other one is the receiver. So this is a two-way process. Sender sends the message, receiver receives the message and gives the feedback. So this is a two-way process. So in which sender sends the information to the receiver who receives it, understands it, and starts acting upon it and gives a feedback to the sender. So this is known as a two-way process. Coming to third one. So communication is a pervasive function. So pervasive in the sense it is not required not only in direction function but in all other functions of management also. So that is known as pervasive. Means it is considered in all aspects of the management, not only in, now we are studying under directing function, this communication as element of directing process. Okay, but this communication is not only studied in this directing process but also studied in other aspects also. So that is why it is considered as a pervasive function. Means in all aspects of management we will definitely study the concept of the communication. So planning requires communication of information. Organization involves transfer of information about task, authority and responsibility. And if we go for controlling, controlling also involves this communication. Why? Because in controlling process definitely the feedback about the performance of the individuals has to be communicated. Okay, so in each and everything aspect we will see this communication. In planning we will see organizing, staffing, controlling. In each and every function we will see this communication. So that is why it is considered as a pervasive function. Okay, so communication is vital to all managerial functions. It is a universal element in the management process. Okay, now coming to fourth one, continuous and ongoing process. So what does continuous and ongoing process means? it is a continuous and ongoing process. Why? Because every supervisor has to be in regular touch with his subordinates so as to seek progress of work in conformity with standards. Okay, so that is why organizations cannot exist without communication. Definitely, we have different levels of management. Okay, so in each level of management, the superior has to be in regular touch with the subordinates. Okay, and being in touch with the subordinates, definitely he has to see the progress of the work. Okay, are the work done in the according to the plans of the management, or else according to the standards of the organization, and he has to confirm the work is going properly or not. Okay, so that is known as, so in this process communication is needed. So that is why communication is a continuous and ongoing process. Till organization is there, this communication process can be seen in each and every level of management. And coming to another one, it communication aims at unity of mind. So unity of mind means creating understanding or commonness, that is known as unity of mind. Okay, so in definition only we have studied the information is exchanged, and the both parties, sender and receiver, should be common in sending and receiving the message. So the message should be understood by the receiver at the sense of the sender. Okay, so the meaning should be conveyed properly and understood by the receiver. So here it aims at the commonness, creating understanding between sender and receiver, the commonness of the message, or the unity of mind of both sender and the receiver on a particular matter. Okay, so that is known as the aim at the feature of communication is it aims at the unity of mind, or else commonness, or else understanding of that particular subject matter. Next, coming to, maybe communication may be formal or informal. Okay, so communication may be formal or informal. It may be upward or downward, horizontal, crosswise. Okay, or it may be between two employees of organization, or organization and outsiders dealing with the organization. Why? Because organization deals with external environment like suppliers, customers, bankers, government, etc. Okay, so communication is definitely needed in an organization, and that communication may be either in the formal way or else in the informal way. We know the basic difference between the formal communication and informal communication. Formal communication is according to the rules and regulations of the management, but coming to informal communication, according to their need, according to their taste and preferences, according to their attitudes, beliefs, values, information will be communicated. Okay, likewise, so the feature is that communication may be the formal communication or informal communication, or else that formal or informal communication may be upward communication or downward communication or horizontal. Okay, or else crosswise, any way it may be seen in an organization. So another one is not only oral or written but also through gestures. So in definition we have studied. So communication means not only it will be in a written form or else in a oral form, but also without speaking or else without writing, we may pass the information, we may exchange the information through gestures. So gestures are the body movements like waving of hands, okay, blinking of the eye. Likewise, different body movements can be expressed. Okay, so this is another feature, not only in the oral or written form but also through the gestures. So these are all the features of the communication. So finally we can say that communication means exchange of ideas, facts, views, opinions, information, understanding between two or more persons, that is nothing but the sender or receiver. Okay, there may be two or more persons, and this communication may be either in the oral, written, or through gestures also. And also communication may be in words, symbols, letters, or actions. Okay, so now coming to the elements of communication. So after seeing features, now we'll go for the elements. So what are the elements in communication? So the communication involves the sender, message, encoding, channel, receiver, decoding, feedback. So all these were involved in the elements of communication. Okay, so here the process will be like this. So sender, after sender, message. Okay, after message, this message will be encoded. So after encoding that message, there will be a channel of communication. So after that, a receiver receives the message, and after that, decoding will be done. So encoding, decoding, afterwards finally the feedback regarding that information will be given by the receiver to the sender. Okay, this is noise. Noise is nothing but if at all any disturbance occurs within the uh, channel of communication, that is known as the noise, or else the misunderstanding of the communication is also known as the noise. Okay, so communication can be treated as the interpersonal process of sending and receiving the messages between two or more people. So if we see each and every element, okay, so deeply, so communication and the elements of communication, the first part is known as the sender. So sender is known as the communication requires, as I said before, two parties. One is the sender and the other one is the receiver. So sender or communicator, we can say sender or communicator is the person who sends a message or idea or information, message, etc. Okay, so he is the source and he initiates the process of communication. So communication process starts from whom means the sender or the communicator. He is considered as the source or else the initiator of the process of communication. So in organizational context, sender may be a superior, a subordinate, a peer, or any other person. Okay, so here sender means if we look into deep in organization. Okay, so who may be the sender means any person, superior, subordinate, peers, or any other persons. Okay, now the organizational position of the sender determines the direction of flow of communication in an organization. uh, the communication may be in features we have studied. The communication may be either upward, downward, okay, horizontal, or crosswise. Okay, so but that type of either upward or downward, horizontal or crosswise, the type of the channel of communication, okay, the flow of communication depends upon the sender. Okay, if at all the sender is the top level management means the communication will be downward flow, or else if the sender is from the lower level management, okay, if at all the grievances of the lower level management want to convey means definitely they have to convey to the top level management, so the communication will be from downward to upward. Likewise, it depends, the flow of communication depends upon the sender. Okay, so this is about the sender. So sender means he is the initiating person in process of communication. The process starts from this person. Next, coming to the message. So what does message means? Message is what is conveyed by the sender. Okay, so the message, what does this message consist? Message consists of words, facts, ideas, feelings, views, suggestions, orders, opinions, etc. Anything may be considered as the message. Okay, so it is the subject matter of communication. So but finally message is must. Okay, sender should send that message. The message may be any form, okay, like words, facts, views, opinions, orders, okay, anything, ideas, feelings, suggestions, views, okay, anything that may be considered as a message which is passed from the sender. So first sender, next message. Okay. So coming to the next part, encoding. So third element is encoding. Encoding means it is the use of appropriate verbal or non-verbal language for transmitting the message. Okay, so that is known as the encoding. Means we are using a proper uh, transmitting language of message. Okay, so in order to transmit the idea, the sender translates the idea into a language. So the views or the opinions of a sender, it has to be changed into a language. Why? Because it has to be understood by the receiver. In order to understood this by this receiver, the sender's views and opinions should be, okay, implemented in the form of a language. Okay, so or else transmitted, the message should be transmitted either in the form of verbal or non-verbal form, either in written or oral form. Okay, so that is known as the encoding. So that's the process of converting the message. Okay, converting this message into communication, okay, symbols, is known as the encoding. Next, coming to the channel. So what does channel means? So channel is nothing but it is the medium. We can say channel is the route or else the medium through which the message is passed. Okay, message is passed from sender to the receiver. Message is passed from the sender to receiver, and it may be face to face, or else by face to face talking, or else by telephone, or else through letters, through mails, through television, okay, through online, anyway. So the channel is the medium or else the route through which the message is going to be sent, okay, by the sender to the receiver. So while selecting the channel of communication, the need and requirement of the receiver must also be taken into account. Okay, so that is the important aspect in while sending the message through a channel, while selecting a channel. Why? Because for example, if we want to send message through mail, okay, so we have to know that the receiver should have the email account. Without having email account, we cannot send the message. Okay, likewise, the needs and requirements of the receiver should be considered, taken into account, and according to that we have to select the channel. And coming to the receiver, so receiver is the person, uh, we can name him as a receiver or else the communicatee. Here sender or communicator, here receiver or else the communicatee, okay, is a person who receives or perceives the message of the sender. Okay, so the person who is receiving the message is the receiver, who is sending is the sender. So communicator, communicatee, and he perceives the message which is sent by the sender. Okay, and the communication does not serve any purpose unless it is understood. So the purpose, the meaning of the information should be properly understood by the receiver, then only it will, the message will have a meaning. Okay, so therefore after physically receiving the message, the receiver must comprehend it. Like the sender, the receiver may be a superior or subordinate or any other person in the organization. So definitely we know that in communication definition only we have studied, not only sending the message and receiving the message, that particular subject matter should be the same meaning, sent by the sender and received by the receiver. The meaning should be the common. Okay, in what sense this sender had sent that message, in the same sense the receiver should receive that message. So that is known as the then only the meaning of that message is fulfilled. Okay, and here as I said, in sender may be, the sender of the message may be any person in the organization. Okay, so likewise here also the receiver may be the superior or the subordinate or peers or any employee in the organization. Okay, but Then depending upon the receiver, the flow of the information or else the flow of the communication also depends. Okay, next one, decoding. Next, decoding means, it means translating the messages into words for the purpose of understanding. Okay, so here in encoding, if we see, means, okay, the idea is of the sender is translated into a language here, okay, in encoding. And here in coming to decoding, the communication, okay, of the or else the message translated, okay, into words by the for the purpose of understanding. Okay, so in order to understand the message which is sent by the sender, so that message is decoded by the receiver. Okay, it means the perception or the thinking uh, or of that particular message is known as the decoding. So the receiver interprets that particular message which is sent by the sender, okay, to derive meaning. Okay, so thus decoding is the reverse of encoding. Okay, so encoding means the views of or else the opinions of ideas of sender is translated into a language, and that language is decoded by the receiver, or else perceived or else interpreted that message by the receiver. So this is known as encoding. Okay, and coming to finally the feedback. So what does feedback means? Feedback means the complete communication process. In order to complete all this process, okay, some verbal or non-verbal feedback from receiver to the sender is required. Okay, so feedback means it refers to the reaction, okay, a reply, response which the receiver sends to acknowledge his understanding of the message. So feedback is given by the receiver to the sender, to what extent he had understood that message, okay, and for that message the response, okay, or else the reaction, or else the reply that is given by the receiver to the sender. Okay, so it may consist of words, actions, or facial expressions, anything the message may be, the feedback may be. Okay, so when the sender receives the feedback, the process of communication is said to be completed. Okay, so this is about the elements of communication.